Hello, welcome to Super Scary. I'm Nicholas.
I'm Bender, and today we're going to be talking about 2013's Evil Dead.
Right off the bat, opening, I guess we want to say who it's by first, who created it, who had a hand in it.
Yeah, well, it's from the producers of the original film, which is super awesome. I think both Bruce Campbell and Sam Raimi were producers on it, so it's fucking good.
So it should be no surprise it turned out awesome.
Exactly. But it was directed by Fede Alvarez. At least we think that's how you say his name. We're not 100%, but Fede Alvarez is who brought this magnificent piece of cinema to us.
Starring Jane Levy in the lead role, who was also one of the main stars in Don't Breathe, which just came out.
Yeah.
Which is another Alvarez movie.
Yeah. Also, I mean, it seems like the same team and everything.
Yeah.
This is the superior film, though, to
Don't
Don't Breathe.
No doubt. Because this is a horror film. And
Don't Breathe is a thriller.
It is.
It's more thriller than horror.
We can talk about that another time.
Yeah.
We have a lot to say on that. Anyway, Evil Dead, just fucking right out of the gate, amazing opening sequence.
I love the opening sequence to this movie. Just the absolute intensity right off the bat, and then like the whole rest of the movie, you know, it calms down for just that 10-minute like interval or whatever, and then it's just like more intense.
Just to allow you enough time to meet the new characters.
Yep, that's
because
it.
you go from your opening, which kind of gives a little backstory, then to the present, where you meet your new cast, and you use the term jarring for the opening.
It is, you know, like I love how, you know, it just comes in with that chick tied up to the beam, and you know, the most jarring part of it is just like right at the end when the dad blows her head off, and then it's like boom, Evil Dead. It's great, and you know, I love how creepy the whole atmosphere is and everything.
The way the dad says "I love your baby" before he blows her head off, it sounded a little Campbell-esque to me.
I love you, baby.
He wasn't saying it the way Bruce Campbell would have said it.
No, I mean, he had tears in his eyes.
Yeah, exactly. I love you, baby. It wasn't like that, but I could have seen Bruce Campbell stepping in to do that.
Yeah.
It was a Bruce Campbell line.
No, it is a great opening scene, and then, yeah, like we said, you know, you have just enough of a lull to meet the new characters, you know, and the cool thing about this movie is, I don't know, I've heard it's like a sequel technically to the original one.
Yeah, I mean,
sort
a lot of people called it a remake, but I don't know, I guess maybe you could decide as a fan. It's one of those,
well, I like to go with like the sequel where like it's coming in after all of this other stuff has already happened.
I think that's a cooler way to do it, because then you're going back to the same cabin from the old ones.
Yeah.
You know, but the setup's a little different. Like I mentioned to you before when we were talking about it, I thought it was cool that in this movie you've got a group of 20-somethings who go out to a cabin, and it's not just to party.
Right.
They're out there for much more serious reason.
Exactly, which is what I was working towards mentioning, is that they're trying to get your main character, Mia, over a drug addiction. So the whole tone of the movie, because of that, it just stays kind of dark, and it stays intense. You don't have a period of the movie where they're just partying and living it up and drinking beers and whatever. It's all kind of a downer.
Yeah, and the you know, and because they're out there to get Mia clean, I feel like she's, of course, the first one to get possessed, you know.
Yeah.
And because of her past, I think her erratic behavior is kind of looked at and accepted a little bit longer than most people would be okay with. You know, if you just had a group of kids out there partying and one person started acting the way she does, you know, immediately you'd know something really fucking off was going on. But because she has a past as a drug addict, and, you know, because she's going through withdrawals, that kind of behavior, at least in the very beginning, is kind of expected.
Yeah, they sort of let her go for a little bit before they finally, you know, she finally tells them all that they're all going to burn in hell, and they throw her in the basement. But, you know, I wanted to talk about the character that they find the book in the basement.
Yeah.
And then it's not her brother, David.
Eric.
Then you get the character Eric, and he's great. You know, he's there to support Mia and everything, but he's the one that messes with the book after everybody tells him not to and leave that thing alone and lie down.
And
what
does
he do?
The book itself
is just disgusting.
It tells him.
Yeah.
It's like scribbled in there. Basically,
don't read this.
Yeah.
And then he's like, hey, I think I'm going to read this.
And then he cuts himself and bleeds inside of it.
You know, that's the one portion of the movie where I'm kind of like, it's a little cliche. Like, don't touch this. Okay, I'm going to touch this. Don't read that. All right, I'm going to read this. Like,
well, I feel like, I don't know. It's believable to me that there would be an asshole in your group who'd be like, I don't fucking care.
Well, and then, but I don't view him as the asshole, though, because he reads the passage from the book. He brings the evil down on the cabin. It's really all Eric's fault. But then, as people start to get possessed and people start to die off, Eric really gets fucked.
He does. He pays for his mistake.
He totally pays for it. He gets the shit beat out of him throughout this movie, where you just feel so bad.
A lot
for
happens
Eric.
to a lot of people in this movie, but I think one of the worst things, maybe the worst in my opinion, it's not even fatal. It's when Eric is being stabbed in the face with a fucking syringe.
By his girlfriend, no less.
Right.
Who has been possessed and has just succeeded in slicing her face off. The gore in this film, by the way,
second to none.
Just so good. And I was so excited that they decided to go with practical effects.
Yeah, it really shows. You can just feel the realness of
how
the
visceral
stuff
it
is. Yeah, you know, when, for instance, at the end when Mia's crawling through the shed, trying to get away from the abomination, and that machete's coming through the wall, and then it finally catches right across her knee, and then when it's being pulled back out, you feel what it would be like to try and take it out. You know that it's stuck.
It's so bad.
And I feel like that's something that that CGI still doesn't quite get.
No.
You can always tell it looks a little too smooth.
Yep.
You know, but the effects in this movie, like that, like when Mia is pulling her arm out from under the Jeep, and the flesh and sinews like tearing, and
or when she's, you know, of course, because Mia just fucks herself up the whole time when she's down in the basement. And she licks the box cutter and cuts her tongue in half.
And then proceeds to French kiss.
So good, though.
I don't remember the other character's name who's on the stairs.
David's girlfriend.
Yeah, David's girlfriend.
That's all she is.
Yeah.
David's
the girl who takes her arm off with the fucking turkey slicer.
That's good, too. And then she stands up and she's like, I had to do it. And it's like still attached by one little vein, and then it falls off.
And then you feel awful for her because she ends up possessed anyway. So.
Yeah, and she's got like nails all in her face and stuff.
Yeah.
So good. But, you know, this movie is really great as like a sequel remake, you know. It really, it's kind of a follow to the originals, but it does, you know, it really makes an effort to rehash the original, and not in a bad way at all. I think it really brings the original up to like a modern audience, you know, because when you watch the original Evil Dead, like it's a classic, it's great and everything, but you know, as the people are getting possessed and they're dying off, I mean, I think when they kill the first Deadite, as they're called in the original movie, there's like a 3-minute segment where it's just melting, going and it's like, okay, can we move this along a little bit? So I think this particular film really does an excellent job of capturing sort of the horror of the first one, what elements there were, and ramping it up to 11, and really just, it's just awesome. It's so good. You know, we've talked a couple times, if you listen to our podcast, we've talked a couple times about the best horror movies of the last 20 years, because that's what people were saying about Don't Breathe. Not true about Don't Breathe. True about this film, for sure.
Oh, it's true. It's damn true.
Definitely one of the best horror films of the last 20 years.
Well, the last scene in this movie, the sequence with the abomination coming up from the ground, it starts raining blood, the forest is covered in blood, Mia's covered in blood, the fucking monster's covered in blood.
It's literally raining blood.
Literally, it is. And, you know, and the finale, the climax of the film, where Mia just goes to town on this fucking monster with the chainsaw, and it's not a short sequence. It's not like 2 seconds of a rip through it. It's like struggling with it, pulling it up through the torso, all the way up through the fucking monster's head.
And the camera pans down, and it's just spraying blood, and then there's a burning house in the background.
Yeah, it's incredible.
It's so good.
That is probably my favorite scene in any horror movie I've ever seen.
Really?
Yeah. I don't
it's
know.
a good one. It's a good one. You know?
I remember watching it in the theater. I've never had the reaction to a film scene that was, I want to get this tattooed on me.
Yeah.
And I still do.
That would be rad.
I think that would be an awesome tattoo, just like black and red.
Now that is definitely, it's up there for me. That's probably my second favorite scene in the whole movie, because it is so well crafted and so well framed and everything. But I love the scene when Mia has just returned from her debacle in the woods, where she's been possessed, but she's not feeling the effects yet.
Possessed vaginally by
a tree.
A tree.
Which they did so much better than the first film, by the way. And her brother David goes in to talk to her, and she's sitting on the bottom bunk in her room, and it's dark. There's like one light on. And, you know, I'm not quite buying Jane Levy's acting at the beginning of the film. She's good. I like her, you know. But that scene, when he goes in to talk to her and she is pleading with him, like, you've got to get me out of here.
Please. Please. You have to get me out of here.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, you buy in at that point. She is terrified.
Well, the cast in this movie is great, in my opinion. All of them. I think everyone does a great job, especially for this type of movie, which people typically think of a gore fest as being home to, you know, cheesy actors, B-level actors. But everyone in this movie does a great job, and especially Levy. She knocks it out of the park, and I say that she gives the best performance in this movie.
Yeah,
not only as a human, but you know, as the demon as well. That's
the demon's great. I love whenever she's popped up underneath the chained down basement door, and she's like,
some of the subtle things she does too. I don't know if you noticed after the shower scene where she's just letting the hot water just fucking scorch her skin.
Yeah.
You know, she gets it pretty bad in that scene. Not as bad as Artie in Sleepaway Camp.
No.
But still pretty painful looking. And so they're driving her. They're going to try and leave at that point, and they're driving away to get out of the woods, and they come to a spot where, you know, the road in front of them, I guess it was a bridge, is all flooded over, so they can't leave. And when her brother David is standing outside the car looking at this river, knowing they can't get out, he looks back, and you see her sitting in the passenger seat with just the slightest grin on her face. And it's very, very subtle.
Yeah.
But I loved it.
It's it's a great film. I rewatched it not too long ago, a couple days ago. I think I saw it in theaters. We didn't see it together.
No, we didn't.
But both caught it in theaters.
Rest in peace, Grandpa.
Yeah, rest in peace, Grandpa. If you haven't seen it, check out Evil Dead. The remake, of course. Watch the original. It's pretty good. But, man, this film, excellent. Absolutely excellent. So...
Oh, and one more thing.
Yeah.
At the end, make sure you watch through the credits, or if you get it on Blu-ray, you can just fast forward.
Yeah,
You don't
there's a
feel like
nice
waiting.
little snippet.
Yeah.
Little snippet and credit scene that's fun for fans, we'll say.
And I wondered if that might have been, at that point, kind of a hint heralding the...
What eventually came?
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe. It could
So-
have.
Anyway, like Bender said, you need to watch this if you haven't, and if you have, go back and watch it again.
Because it's just that
as
good.
enjoyable, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you for tuning in this week. This has been Super Scary. I'm Bender.
I'm Nick, or Nicholas, whatever. Make sure that you go to superdivorceme.com. In particular, if you want to watch this show, superdivorceme.com/.
Super Scary.
And then also go to YouTube and subscribe to our channel so we can get a custom URL.
Yeah, because that would really help us out a lot. And you can watch our previous video. Last week we talked about one of my favorite films, Sleepaway Camp, the 1983 summer camp slasher.
Wonderful.
Loved it.
And next week we're going to talk about Night of the Comet.
Yes, we are. That's our first request, by the way. We didn't come up with that one.
No, we didn't. So, by request. And if you want us to review something, then just let us know. You can email us at divorceclub@superdivorceme.com.
Yeah.
And we'll talk to you guys soon.
Yep. See you next week.
Bye-bye.
Another episode of Super Scary.